What's up guys, this is my custom Phicen body Bane. I was inspired to do this from seeing the custom Hot Toys version of Bane with the TBLeague bodies. And since they make TBLeague bodies in 1/12 scale, I thought I'd try to recreate that look for Bane, especially because the Mafex Bane had very scrawny arms that didn't seem to be designed for the figure. They just kind of didn't look very good. So as you can see, he has completely seamless arms that are a lot bulkier and more muscular than the ones that he comes with. And it's completely seamless, so you can get him into all sorts of awesome poses, and it looks completely natural. So without further ado, let's get into it, and I'll show you from start to finish how to make this version of Bane. Alright, so step one of this process is to get the TBLeague / Phicen 1/12 male body, and this thing is really cool. It's I mean, you can obviously go look at some other reviews. This isn't a review of this body, but it is fully articulated and it's seamless. It's made of squishy rubber material. What we're gonna do is, because Mafex bodies are easily able to disassemble, we're just gonna take these pieces off. Gonna take a look at what we've got here. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna hollow this piece out so that it can fit over the torso, and that'll be our first step. So I just figured out that this Bane head actually fits perfectly on this ball peg. Like, it's as if it was made for it. So I don't need to hollow out any part of the head. That is already good to go. Just needs to be painted. All right, so I'm just gonna be going in with my rotary tool and drilling a hole through the armpits and then up through here. And then I'm just gonna be using some other tips to widen out these holes so that it just becomes a hollow piece that can go over the chest. So I'm using my smallest drill bit to make the preliminary holes, and then I switched to a larger sanding drill bit to widen out the holes, and some pliers to take out the melted plastic, which ends up looking like a pile of shredded chicken, actually. So that was interesting. And then once I've got all the pieces hollowed out and all the neck and the arms, I switched over to the waistband, and that one was a lot simpler to hollow out. You just hollow out the entire inside and it's just a circle, so that was no problem at all. And once that was hollowed out, I switched over to the arm bracer, and I just had to cut the arm off and then just drill a hole through the center and then just progressively make it wider. And then I used a sanding drill bit to sand out all of the pieces so that they had a smooth finish. So this is what we have so far. Here are the pieces that we just hollowed out. It's gonna go around his waist, and hopefully this can fit over the torso. So what we need to do now is touch up the paint, especially on the edges, so you're not gonna see any of this flesh color on the inside of this vest. So I've skipped quite a few steps here. Between the last clip and this clip, I have repainted the head. And obviously I put the vest over the torso and the waistband over his waist, which was pretty difficult. I've also hollowed out the tops of the boots. I drilled a hole into these shoes and made it so that they fit on that ball peg. Though not super tightly, they won't fall off. I also got this coat. This is from GPSLot or GPSLot. I'll link it in the description. On eBay, they just make a coat for 1/12 Bane figures, and it came very white, the fur, so I just added a wash of some brown into the furry part of the coat to make it look a little more dirty, a little more accurate to how it looks in the movie. So we've got the coat, we've got this completely finished. All we need is the pants, and those are still in the mail, so I'll just have to wait for those. The pants still haven't come, but here's just another update just to show you what I've changed with the coat. Clearly, it's shortened and I've added these loops and I've made some other changes. So the coat comes to about maybe here originally, and so I had to cut it down because it's supposed to go to just about where his kneecap is. And there's also these kind of loops for the buttons that are supposed to be on the jacket. There's 6 of them, and I looked at some reference images from the Hot Toys, from the actual screen used prop. I also cut down the collar because it was huge. It was above his head, and I had to fold it down to make it look like it does in the movie. So I ended up just cutting it, and I used some of the extra fuzz from the top of the collar to wrap around his neck, because we see that also in the movie, that there's some random fuzz on the back of the neck as well. I also hemmed it because I was finding myself pulling it back to make it a little bit tighter because it was just really, really baggy. So I just cut the seam and I pulled it tighter and glued it with some super glue. It doesn't look the best. I might touch that up with maybe trying to sew it, but for now it gets the job done. From the front it looks pretty good. After 2 weeks of waiting, the pants are finally here, and they didn't really have the proper color that I wanted, so I just got this dark green color. So what I'm gonna do is try to dye it with some acrylic, just the same way that I added a tint of color to the coat. I'm going to add some dark brown to the pants to see if I can get them to look brown, and then I'm going to add the knee pads. So it turns out that the pants do fit pretty well, and I already tried to dye them a little bit, but the dye didn't really work very well. It made it look really nice at first. I really liked that color, but you can already tell that as it's starting to dry, it's just going back to the original green. So looks like dyeing it's not going to work super well. I'll update you if I can figure out something. But definitely in person you can kind of convince your eye that it's brown. On camera it looks very green, but depending on the lighting, it can look brown. So now what I've got to do is figure out some way to make some knee pads. So he's got some thicker cloth that's kind of a pine green color. All right, Bane is finished. Here is what we have. And to get these knee pads, I just got some shorts, cut up a tiny piece of fabric and folded it into this shape, glued it, and then I dyed it with some acrylic paint. And I found out that you actually can dye these pants, and it would have worked to dye them kind of brown rather than green, because I was able to dye the bottom part of the pants this darker brown. I just needed to have a more concentrated solution of paint, but that's all right. I'm happy with how it is, even if these pants are a little bit too green. If you look at it long enough, you can kind of convince yourself that they're brown. And then I just glued these plastic pieces from the Mafex on there, tucked the pants into the top of the boots, and yeah, he is completely finished. So now I'm going to show you guys how I get the jacket on and off. So I just wrap his arms in this plastic that I got from a plastic bag, and then make it so that these pegs can stick out, and then the arms can slide through a lot more easily and they don't get dirty. And voila, jacket is on. Then we just replace the hands. And there we go. That is jacketed Bane. And from the last time that I showed you the jacket, I did make a couple changes. I added a little strip here, and I painted the buttons black. I actually removed one of the buttons. It's supposed to be a thing that goes all the way up and matches with all of these, but I mean, I didn't have enough buttons to do that, so that's where we're at. And yeah, this is it. That is what Bane looks like with his jacket on. It's kind of a shame to cover up those arms, but I also really like this look for Bane. So yeah, it's nice to have the option. All right, here he is up on the shelf in the DC diorama. As you can see, he fits in scale very well. He might be a little bit taller than Batman, but I kind of like the bigger, broader look. Here he is with the coat on, and it's kind of a constant battle trying to decide which display option I like more. But thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe and check out my other videos, or you can leave a comment and a question, and I'll try to get back with you. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.